Hi guys, my name is Brandon Pham and I did my disease presentation on chlamydia. Some history on chlamydia. Chlamydia was discovered in 1907 by Halberstader and von Proazek. What they did was they observed conjunctiva scrapings of an experimentally infected orangutan. People initially thought that chlamydia was a protozoa and then a virus because of its significant dependence on biosynthetic and metabolic pathways of its host cell. However, it is now considered bacteria because they found out that it was comprised of DNA, RNA, ribosomes, and its ability to produce its own protein and nucleic acids. Some quick characteristics of chlamydia is that it has three species: Chlamydia trachomatis, Chlamydia psittaci, and Chlamydia pneumonia. Chlamydia trachomatis is responsible for the sexual transmitted disease that we know today, and is responsible for some eye infections and lymph node infections. Chlamydia psittaci mainly infects birds, which then transmit to humans through its dust particles that carry on its feathers, biting humans, or bird poop. And this is responsible for bronchitis. Then there's Chlamydia pneumonia, which was recently founded and is only seen in humans, and they're responsible for respiratory illnesses. Now, the main focus of this presentation will be on the sexual transmitted disease, which is caused by the species Chlamydia trachomatis, mainly because its prevalence is very high in today's society, so this would be a great topic to talk about. The class and family is Chlamydiaceae, and its order is Chlamydiales. It's an obligate intracellular gram-negative coci. It's obligate intracellular parasite because it cannot reproduce outside of its cell and relies heavily on the intracellular part of the host cell. It's a gram-negative coci because it has cytoplasmic membrane and outer membrane that is similar to a gram-negative bacteria. It has no peptidoglycan cell wall, and as stated before, it is comprised of DNA, RNA, and ribosomes. It has no ATP production and is non-motile. Even though these three species give different problems to the body, they can all form pneumonia in a human being. Transmission. It can be transmitted vertically or sexually, and it can be transmitted vertically by mother to baby, and this occurs usually when the baby is passing through the birth canal and the baby is then breathing in the mother's secretion into its lungs, and this is how it's passed, and which will later cause pneumonia towards the baby. It's transmitted sexually through oral, anal, vaginal, and this is why it can be spread so easily, because not only is the patient most of the time asymptomatic, but sex is a lot nowadays, so it's very, very easily spread. The incubation period varies, but usually 1 to 3 weeks is about the time, and reinfection is possible. And just because someone got infected and they took an antibiotic and is cured, they can still get infected, so no one is ever immune to this. Now, the life cycle of chlamydia. Chlamydia has two life forms, an elementary body and a reticular body. So first it begins as an elementary body. This elementary body is 0.25 to 0.3 micrometers in diameter, and it is an infectious particle of chlamydia cell that attaches to receptors on the membrane of the host cell and is then taken up by endocytosis. So once it's inside the cell, it will transform to a reticulate body because an elementary body is metabolically inactive and a reticulate body is metabolically active. So once it replicates into a reticulate body, it will do this by binary fission, and then it will transform back to an elementary body because, once it's inside the cell, a reticulate body can live, but outside the cell, a reticulate body cannot, so it needs to go back into its elementary body, And then once the cell lyses, the elementary body will then release and repeat this cycle, further infecting other healthy cells. Now we do know that the host cell produces antibodies, but each antibody, there's not much information on it, and they still do not know the precise job of each antibody. So this also does not prevent reinfection. So the incidence and prevalence of chlamydia. So in 2018, 1,758,668 chlamydial infections were reported by the CDCC. So occurrences worldwide, just to put in perspective, there's about 34 cases per 1,000 men and 33 cases per 1,000 women. Or other way around. 34 cases per 1,000 women and 33 cases per 1,000 men. And from 2017 to 2018, there has been a 3% increase of cases reported. This is the highest ever reported in the United States. And as you can see, states like Alaska, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina are very high in chlamydia. And there's no given reason why, but I would assume that they're just more sexually active, or they just happen to have the symptomatic version of it, so that the cases are reported. So that's why this number here is estimated to be much higher, like around 2.86 million, because most people don't report it since they are asymptomatic. And it's estimated that 1 in 20 sexually active young women have chlamydia. So there was a recent outbreak, and it occurred here in Texas, in Crane High School, which is just west of Texas, at around May 7th, 2015. And this was reported by the ABC News and Washington Post. And there was about 20 to 24 cases, according to the media, just in that one high school. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. So who is at risk? Sexually active young people are at higher risk because they can have multiple sexual partners, and they're increasing the chances of them obtaining this infection, because most people that are sexually active and they obtain this disease, they are asymptomatic and do not know that they're spreading it around. And some that are facing it end up reporting it, and that's when that, like how that outbreak was in Texas at Crane High School. Homosexuals are also at risk because the sexual transmitted disease can go through oral or anal. And existing STDs, HIV positive, those people are also at risk because they're immunocompromised, And also, the reason why this sexual transmitted disease has been spreading so much more is because the culture nowadays, kids are using unprotected sex, and it's easily spread through that. And most people are having multiple partners, sexual partners, and that also increases the chances. So some preventative methods, obviously abstinence. But in the case that you can't do that, using a condom properly. Also limiting the number of sexual partners, so mainly just one person that you know has been tested and does not have the disease. And also, if you are sexually active, getting regular screenings, at least like once a month, would be good, so that you can take the right matters and precautions and treatment. Also, for women, to avoid douching, because this reduces the amount of good bacteria that's present in your vagina that can help defend against chlamydia, because there's about a 30% chance of you obtaining chlamydia from someone who has it just from one time having sex. So, symptoms of chlamydia. Some symptoms would be pain or a burning urinating sensation, pain during sex, lower belly pain, abnormal vaginal or penis discharge, or swollen or tender testicles. So this is diagnosed. For men, and for women, it could be a urine test, and this would usually be the nucleic acid amplification test, which basically detects the genetic material of Chlamydia trachomatis, and usually you pee into this cup and it's just the initial portion of it, and the doctors are able to run tests and see if you are tested positive for chlamydia. For women, a vaginal swab is recommended. So a medical practitioner may use a swab to collect a sample of cells during a pelvic exam. This pelvic exam first begins with an external check, which is for like cysts and abnormal discharge, irritation, and then a speculum is slid into the vagina, which separates the wall and allows them to use the swab to check the discharge from the cervix. So treatment. Treatment is with antibiotics, either a one-time dose, or you may need to take medicine one time a day for up to 2 weeks. The infection clears within 1 to 2 weeks most of the time, and treatment does not make you immune to future chlamydia cases, sadly. So some medicines could be azithromycin and doxycycline. And that is it. I hope this presentation broaden your knowledge on the chlamydia infection. And have a great day.